great minds and such ideas.
And another ramble source, and I'm here with my esteemed friend Mark Cottle, and former worked with him, and just a good friend, just all around interesting guy. Mark, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Yeah, thanks for having
Good.
me on.
Yeah, no, I just was talking to you earlier, and now we're going to talk about the new year, but one of the reasons I had you on because you had talked about and I had seen you have like you was either on Facebook or something that you have some pretty interesting thoughts on politics and Christianity, and and you're talking about maybe doing something like a podcast or something, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm getting ready to do a launch on my own podcast called Lead Through Life, and basically it's a biblical worldview on a lot of leadership, a lot of self help things. The I don't like saying self help or self leadership, but
Well, self-help has its own like baggage, right? When you say those words, but I know what you mean. There's almost like a new wave of, and it's a good thing to me, is like there's a new wave of self-help that comes out of sort of I feel like there is a reaction to the feminist movement, or the woke feminist movement, I'll say, that has come out of like men saying, hey, there's a whole wave. Of course, there's the extremes like Andrew Tate, but there's also the guys like Andrew Peterson. I mean, no, sorry, Jordan Peterson, who brings some clarity to self-help, not like self-help like who Tony Robbins, right? But more looking at our lives, and as men picking up the heaviest thing we can and going to the next thing, that sort of thing, right?
Yep. I mean, there's a place for all of that, but my biggest issue is like when you do goal setting, when you're looking and trying to create a better future for yourself, especially looking at the new year. If you don't put your prayer life forward and ask for God for direction first, I think it makes it very hard to be in alignment with what God wants you to do. And I think there's a certain element of leadership in all of us that God wants us to take part in, whether that's small part, I shouldn't say small part, but it is a big part in the family. But as far as like organizationally, whether it's in the family or running a big company.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's that's basically what my podcast is going to be, and just the stuff I like to talk about, and that's why it gets me excited to talk about putting the like I said, the biblical worldview and all of the leadership stuff. I think there's just more content like that out there is the better. So
Amen. Well, let's get right before we get into it. I like to do this is something I do on is whenever I think about it, and that is the simultaneous sigh. And so basically, what it is, we both take a deep breath together, helps sort of get us on the same page, and sort of gives us something to start with. So if you don't mind, join me and anybody watching. Let's take a deep breath. Simultaneous sigh. So blow out all your breath if you want to join. Take a deep breath and release. What reminded me was when you said, like, I want to get, it's not a bad thing to get as much of that out as possible, because I always say that about well, it's Christian worldview and biblical training, especially, but there's also like I just feel like we don't breathe enough. We don't breathe deeply enough, and especially as men, we just sort of keep that shallow breath. And so deep breathing is always a good thing.
it is.
But and the new year is upon us, and I was contemplating what to talk about with you. And one of the things that I've been sort of curious about is, what do other men think about when they wake up in the morning, and what is it that gets them up in the morning, and what, mainly because I think it's important for me to start thinking about, what gets me up, what am I starting my morning out with. And I think it can sort of be, we can transfer that same question to the new year. What are we looking forward to? What I said to you earlier was, what gets you up in the new year? It's and so, pass the question to you. What is it that is exciting you about this coming up year? What is it that is pulling you forward?
Yeah, I mean, I would say there's a lot of things that are pulling me forward. Uh, Looking into the new year, I used to be somebody, I mean, this was quite a while ago, that looked forward to the new year to start new things and things like that. But I'm
Hmm.
pretty consistent in a lot of different areas of my life to where I don't wait for January to start running exercise, or I usually take a jump on it usually in November or December, ramping up for January. A lot of the things that I want to do, so I'm not waiting and playing the.
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of us procrastinate and waiting for that. Gym memberships are at their peak in January, and then they start dropping off as the year goes. And really, that just comes down to commitment, which is another topic we could talk about at some point. But the thing is, for the new year, what's pulling me, I would say a lot of it would have to be, of course, I don't have a family, I don't have kids yet. I haven't crossed that bridge yet. Um, but, as far as my career goes, like I said, I'm stepping into the leadership coaching world again. I did do that for a while in the political space, and so I am looking forward to doing that again. I kind of put down that part of my life for a little bit to kind of take a step back and reevaluate some things, and so I can step back in with more clarity and purpose and power, and just
Hmm.
make sure that um, I'm clear about what direction I want to go with all that. But I mean, I get really excited. Like me, naturally, I took a Gallup assessment probably, I don't know, it's back in March, and I am naturally, my strongest thing on that for my personal qualities and is I am very future oriented. And I highly
Hmm.
recommend for anybody watching this that if you haven't taken the Gallup assessment, you can go to Gallup assessment. And basically, it's a very in depth assessment on your strengths. And it really does a great job of taking a lot of those assessments. And some of them are just, they spit out an answer and you're like, oh, that's kind of cute. But this one's actually, it does a really good job of breaking everything down, and it's pretty spot on. And so it's like 50
Hmm.
bucks, but it's totally worth it. But anyway, so
Hmm.
that's just natural for me to get pulled in. I'm excited to start new things, and you know, but as far as for me, I guess my biggest focus for the new year is consistency.
Hmm.
Consistency is something that I want to improve on, and
Hmm.
I think all of us could do that in some area. A lot of my mentors talk about consistency all the time, and it's just those daily disciplines every single day that really propel us forward. People underestimate what they can do in a long period of time, uh, or they overestimate what they do in a short period of time, and they overestimate what they do. Um, Something like that, or they don't take in factor something like that. There's, people try to do too much in a too short a time frame, and so anyway, I hope
Well,
that.
yeah, no, you said purpose and power or something like that, and I was thinking, and what you because I was thinking about power, and the thing that came to mind when you're talking about this is the power of time, using time to our advantage. And like, kind of what you're saying is, like, we underestimate what we can do with over a long span of time, we can do so, the matriculator, or the, what is it, compound interest type model, right? Like the more time we put on it, it just, it keeps growing and growing, and but it does take consistency and dedication, and that's where real power is, I think, for anybody. But I'd always talk to, I forget who I talked to about, somebody about this, but it was like the idea of magic. Sometimes it feels like magic that if we commit ourselves to doing something every day, after a certain amount of time, we look up and we have this wonderful thing we've built, whether it be like I've learned guitar, I've learned, some skill or something. Like after a long period of time, it goes by fast. Time goes by fast for us, especially the older we get. And so it feels like magic that, oh, I have this thing. It appeared, but no, it's because we took the time to commit to it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. It's those daily disciplines, and yeah, like if we're not aware of that, I think it's the awareness that helps us be more deliberate with our time, that deliberate examination with kind of where our time is going, because it's we get distracted.
Well, and it's dedication. I feel like something. I think you said we underestimate or we overestimate what we can do in a small amount of time, and I think I find this in myself, where if I can't get it done quickly, well, it's not worth doing. Or it's like that impatient thing in me that, and I do think that men in particular struggle with this more, although everybody struggles with it. But I guess just in my own experience, if like I'd rather sacrifice my body to get it done quickly. I often think about like helping somebody move out or something. I always take as much as possible to get it done as quick as possible, rather than, I'll sacrifice exactness or, efficiency or I guess not efficiency, but I'll like break things to get things done fast, even if I have to break my body to get it done fast. What is that?
Yeah, well, we just want to get it done quicker, and it's kind of like carrying groceries from the store. You grab as many sacks as you can and try to get it done and all in one trip.
Yeah. Well, so one thing I forgot to mention about you is you're an accomplished pianist, and I wonder, did you tell me about the process of learning, because you play magnificent piano, and you're going to be playing for the Wagon Box, right? This
Yep.
Wagon Box restaurant, Story, yep. Wyoming. Go by this New Year's Eve, right?
Yeah.
Playing.
Yeah. So I mean, the playing the piano, I mean, that was instilled in me as a young kid. I came from a family, there were a lot of musicians singing, although I didn't do a whole lot with that. But growing up, it was Monday night was piano lessons, Tuesday night was violin, Wednesday night was trombone, Thursday was choir, and then I sang in the choir on Sunday, and then eventually I switched to trumpet instead of trombone. And then I started taking pipe organ lessons when I was a freshman in high school. And so, but I would say probably my primary instruments are the piano first. I would say probably trombone, then violin. Actually, trombone and trumpet, good at both of those. And then the violin. But music comes very naturally to me. I don't know if maybe that was just how I grew up with my family. But that was my escape growing up. I had a kind of a traumatic childhood, and I think I used that as an escape. And so I really excelled in music, and I really enjoyed it. I had the privilege of going all over Europe and playing all over Europe, and played in Westminster's Abbey, Notre Dame, all different places. So it was a great experience. So yeah, but as far as like,
that.
it's just like learning, practicing. My grandma gave me an option whether I should, um, it's either weeding the garden or playing the piano or practicing the piano. Well, I just practiced the piano a lot. Well, then she eventually made me weed the garden. So,
She made you do
yeah.
both. That was kind of a bait and switch, huh?
Yeah.
Well, but that is the place where I think most about the iterative progression of power. Of our a human's ability to accomplish something is with instruments. Whenever I think of that thing of like you're just committing a certain amount of time every day to learning something, there's nothing more. I don't know if there's nothing more beautiful, but there's very little that's as beautiful as music, and I guess art in general. And taking time every day to hone that, I think it's like art in general, maybe not so much, because it's hard to really define whether or not the result is um to define the progress, whereas when it comes to an instrument, it's not as hard to see the difference between the beginning and the end. A there is a very concrete progression, right? I mean, I guess some people could say that all of the music sounds beautiful or something like that, maybe like some kind of Cajun approach to postmodern music. But to me, there is a level. I mean, I think to everybody, you get less and less bad notes and more fluidity. Are you able to play just anything by ear? I can't remember.
I do. It's both. I play
Mm.
by ear, and I also, sight read too. I try to learn the music as fast as I can, and then I can internalize it, and then um,
Mm.
create my own version of it. I like to do a lot of improv with different classical pieces.
I love that.
Hmm.
One of the things that I constantly come back to is Picasso: learn the rules like a pro so that you can break them like an artist,
Yeah,
and to me, that's what you like. I love that idea of like learning it as best you can and then making it your own. You sort of break it down to be your own, and to make it sound different. I love that. That's good.
yeah,
What is
absolutely.
your favorite kind of music to play?
Mostly classical. That's just the way I grew up. Classical. I know I could probably play jazz if I wanted to, but
Hmm.
I here, I mean, that's kind of my go-to for classical. I play some hymns every now and then, when requested, but mostly classical. That's kind of that's what I'm the best at, is classical.
Hmm.
And I'm really good at jazz on the trumpet. So I
Oh, the
really
trumpet.
on the trumpet. And
Okay.
also, you know, I learned a lot of bluegrass on the fiddle too. Uh, I haven't done that for a while though, but I can pick it up pretty quick.
On the
Uh,
fiddle.
yeah.
Ah, interesting.
So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I mean, there's a lot of really cool musicians out there that have, they internalize what they learn. Um, one of the pipe organists that I follow is Cameron Carpenter, and he's a graduate of Juilliard School of Music. He's very, very
Ooh.
gifted. And his story is actually very interesting. And I'm not sure where to find that, but somewhere on YouTube. But anyway, his story is that he went into his neighbor's garage, found an old organ. It was collecting dust with a bunch of sheet music on it,
Hmm.
and he asked the uh, the owner if he could use it, and the owner gave it to him. And that was when he was like 13 years old. Well, he ended up just practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing, and he ended up going to Juilliard School of Music, and then he actually invited the guy that gave him that organ in the garage, and and that guy that gave it to him, he could not believe what he did with the pipe organ. He is like really, really good. But my point of saying that is he internalizes a lot of pieces with like Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach, and he plays it with his own style. And any of his music on YouTube, he'll kind of upset the organ playing community a little bit because they think it needs to be played a certain way. And the way I look at it is, well, if you're that good, you can play any way you want. So
yeah,
but extremely talented. But that's it's part of mastery.
What was his name?
Cameron Carpenter.
Cameron Carpenter. I gotta look him up. And he plays the pipe organ in his own, sort of breaks the rules with it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I love it. And I think, we have a few comments. Oh, we got Hugh Henthorn. This Bud Henthorn is listening. Hey, Bud. And let's see. We've got Jim Pass said trombone, trumpet are fairly simple. You only have one note to worry about. Anything keyboard is tough. Well, I don't know what he means by what do you mean? What do you think he means by one note to worry about? What do you mean, Jim? I guess just you don't want to play the wrong note. Or I guess you could just play one note the whole time.
I guess as long as your lips are vibrating, you're making a note.
That's true.
I don't mean by that.
Oh, he says you're only playing one note at a time. Oh, that's true. I guess with piano and the keyboard there's all kinds of combinations that go into it.
Yeah, I guess I really didn't think about it that way.
Wow,
that's a good
perspective. Now, isn't there a way? I actually, my dad he tried to get me to play trumpet for a while. I was teaching. Isn't there a way to sort of split your lip so that you can have two notes going at one time?
No.
Okay. I'm way up on that.
I wish I hadn't figured that out yet. Maybe that's something new.
That would be interesting. I just remember my dad like teaching me or trying to get me to maybe like two different sides of your mouth to like make it kind of wobble or something. I don't know. I can't remember. It's been a while.
Yeah. It was probably practicing the vibrato. Maybe that.
Okay.
That's the only thing I can think.
Yeah, that's one note at a time versus multiple. So I think that's we're almost out of time, and so that's that is the idea of music and going into the new year. I think music as a metaphor, but also you're going to be doing more music for your you were talking about doing maybe some videos or something like that.
Yeah, I'm working on getting some better equipment for recording my piano pieces. My goal is to make a music video, so I would like to do some kind of if you know Tommy Prophet on YouTube, have you heard of
Tommy Prophet? Yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah,
piano videos. I'd like to do something along those lines, and but yeah, I'm working on that, and I don't really have. It just depends on the equipment and what I need and where it's going to be at, and all that. So yeah, but that's going to be a lot of fun. I enjoy it.
Look forward to seeing that. Is there anywhere we can tune in? You have like a website, don't you?
Yes, I'm working on it right now. It is
okay.
It may be up, but it's a total dumpster fire right now because I'm updating it. It looks horrible.
I know how that is. I've got a million like that.
Yeah, but I have my website's just my first name, middle initial, last name, markrcottle.com. And so it will be revamped this week. I've been working on it. So
there it is right there, markrcottle.com. Is that how you spell it, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah. We got some more comments here before we go. Oh, Jim says, Jim went to school with my dad, and he said that's why your dad bombed out of orchestra. He was playing around too much, I guess. Check out Masataka Kono. You ever heard of Masataka Kono?
I don't know. With a name like that, he must be really good.
Well, I'll have to check him out. Thanks, Jim.
He started when he was 3 years old or something.
What was the one you mentioned too? I didn't write it down.
The organ player?
Yeah.
Cameron Carpenter.
Cameron Carpenter. All right, I'm gonna put it in the he says it's jazz.
Cool.
Interesting. Masataka Kono or something like that. So Cameron Carpenter, I don't know if that's how you spell it, but I'm gonna look him up, and it's so I've got a couple people to look up here. Some Masataka, some Cameron. So I'm gonna look at what was the other one? Prophet, Jim Prophet? No, what was it?
Tommy
Prophet.
TOMMEE, I think is how he spells it, or something like that. We'll come to the top. Yeah.
Well, great. Well, I appreciate you coming on and just sharing your thoughts. Any last thoughts on the new year? Any last something that maybe I was thinking something along the lines of something that we can work towards, like music. Our spirituality can be something that we work on every day, and we have something wonderful at the end. And I think that what is it that we can work on? I don't know. I'm not expecting you to have the answer, but maybe something we can think about together is what can we work on that at the end, maybe it's memorizing verses, maybe it is being a new kind of person in Christ, but what is it that we can work on in the new year that when we look at it, we've only done a little bit each day, but when we get to the next new year, we have something to show for it, like we can play an instrument, you know?
Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly what the question is with that, but I mean, what comes to mind is that I think for anything, any discipline, anything new that we try to take on, especially in the new year, and especially from a spiritual perspective, is I know this is what I've been doing personally, is forgiving myself for any wrongs that I've done. And if I've made any mistakes or have anything tripping me up, I have to forgive myself for some of the things, because I think we could all be really hard on ourselves at times. And for us to bring in something new and do something new, we have to, and part of that reset button is forgiving ourselves from a spiritual perspective, so we can start new. So, and
I love that. Well, there's only one thing I would add to that, and I think you're already good at this, but I need to be better at this. Just from what you've told me, is having somebody, whether it be a mentor or somebody in our life, that as we forgive ourselves, we confess to somebody. Because I had a priest tell me once, because I said, what is the deal with confession? And he said, it's like, you can do it on your own. You can do it with God, confession and forgiveness of yourself. But without somebody else, it's like the enemy comes around and is like, you never did that. You didn't do it right. And it's like, without somebody else's proof, without somebody else's, helping us through it. It's like too easy to hear that message and say, oh, maybe I can't, did I do it? You know, it's better to have somebody that we can go to and say, didn't I, I told you about that, right? Yes, you did. Let's keep going. You know, it's just always better to have somebody, I think, to confess to, you know.
Yeah. That you can share things with and get things out. Have that somebody that you can really trust to share.
Well, that's good. I appreciate that. Let's go into the new year. Well, looking to improve on that, to be able. I appreciate you bringing that up, because that's something I think you pointed out. That's something I've been talking to my dad a little bit, is we're talking about morality. Like, I really do think that it comes down to, there is a piece to that about self-forgiveness and being able to get past, when we talk about morality, well, when we talk about relationship with God, being able to see sin as the disruptor, right, of a relationship, and looking at it as a positive thing, rather than, our life isn't sin management. It's not trying not to do the bad things. It's all about connecting with God and other people, right? Like,
Yeah. Well, I watched that, and it was really good. And one of the points was that I actually wrote it down in a form of a question, was what disrupts our connection with God and others.
Mm-hmm.
And that, ever since I watched that, which was actually yesterday morning, I'm really thinking about that. Like, what's disrupting my what is getting in the way? Because I think that question, answering that question, not only gives you some great insight on what to think about and zero in, but it'll also help go into the new year with some clarity.
That's good. I like that.
So,
amen. Well, thanks, Mark. I appreciate good discussion, good ideas. Let's continue to build on it. Hope to have you on again.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, and thank you. We've got Taylor Lawson was checked in, Jovan, David Kimball, and of course we had Jim and Bud. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and let's all go into the new year just not trying to front load it, but just thinking about what is disrupting the good, and what is disrupting our relationship with God, our Creator, and others, and just getting past that and being able to get past that and forgiving ourselves. I think that's great, Mark. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you too.
Thank you, everybody, and we'll talk to you later.